welcome. Today we're doing a deep dive into Fernand Eddie Michel's book and his ideas on purpose.
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah, we're going to explore what it is, why it matters, and how we can really tap into it.
It's like a journey to understanding your own why
Mm-hmm.
and how it can make your life more fulfilling. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
actually make you feel good
Exactly.
more than just existing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So Michelle, he tackles this concept of purpose from so many angles,
Oh, yeah.
It's not just like one definition.
It's a whole spectrum of ideas. He talks about it as the reason we exist.
Right.
The force behind our actions.
Okay.
The aspirations that, that light our way. It's fascinating. Like he connects the dots between, our daily choices and this larger sense of meaning.
Yeah, it's like he's saying it's not just what we do,
Right.
but why we do it.
Exactly. He even uses this really striking comparison in the book.
Oh, okay.
Making a living versus making a life.
I like that.
Just going through the motions versus actively crafting a life that's full of intention and meaning.
That really hits home.
Mm.
I think we've all had those moments where we just crave something more.
Absolutely.
Something beyond just like getting through the day.
Yeah.
But one thing that really stood out to me was how he talks about the benefits of actually living with purpose. He doesn't just say like, oh, it's a good idea.
Right.
He gives these concrete examples
Yeah.
of how it can actually impact our lives like on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. And it's not just about feeling good, although that's definitely a part of it. He delves into how it can fuel our success, right?
Sure.
Help us navigate through tough times,
Right.
even boost our overall happiness. There's this one quote, I think it really captures the essence of it. He says, knowing that at least one person's life somewhere is better off because you exist is the most effective cure to sorrow.
Wow, that's a powerful statement.
Right.
Really speaks to, that human desire to contribute,
Yeah.
to make a difference, even in small ways.
Make your mark.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you know me, always looking for the practical takeaways.
Okay. Yeah.
How does Michel suggest we actually tap into our purpose?
Okay.
I mean, it's one thing to read about it, but how do we make it real, like in our own lives?
He gives us a lot to work with.
Yeah.
A lot of advice on cultivating purpose. He talks about developing a growth mindset, practicing gratitude, learning from setbacks, even turning those challenges into fuel, to grow from them.
I like that.
He also highlights, exploring our passions, connecting with our community,
Okay.
and really embracing self-acceptance. It's really about understanding ourselves on a deeper level and then aligning our actions with, what we value.
Yeah, it's almost like we have to create the right environment for our purpose to really flourish.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And speaking of environment, he brings up this really interesting point about the people we're around.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He actually quotes Jim Rohn, who said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with."
Oh, that's a good one. So we need to be mindful of who we're letting into our inner circle.
Yeah.
It's like they become part of that, fertile soil where our purpose can either grow
Right.
or wither.
Precisely. And this ties into how purpose and success are intertwined. It's not just about feeling good. It's about achieving things,
Sure.
too, right?
Yeah.
He makes the distinction between dreams and visions.
Okay.
Dreams stay in our minds,
Right.
but visions,
Yeah.
those are the dreams we actually work to make happen.
We put action to.
Yeah, we turn them into reality.
So it's about moving from the realm of thought into the world of doing.
Yes. And to help with that, he provides an exercise.
Okay.
He suggests visualizing your ideal future self.
I've heard of this, yeah.
Getting really specific, right?
Yeah.
Not just, I want to be successful, but I want to be leading a team of designers, creating products that improve people's lives,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly, that kind of thing. He wants us to think about what we want to have, be, give, and do in that ideal future.
Like painting a picture.
Like a roadmap.
Yeah. Love that. But I'm curious, with all this talk about visualizing the future, how does Michel address the here and now?
Right.
I mean, we only have so much time.
Yeah, good point. Well, he actually tackles that head on. He's a big advocate for time management as, a key to pursuing your purpose.
Oh, okay.
He even asks this thought-provoking question in the book. If this were your last day to work on your purpose, how would you spend it?
Whoa.
Right.
That's intense. It makes you really stop and think about how you're using your time.
Yeah. Are we filling our days with things that really matter?
Right, things that align with that purpose.
Exactly. It's a good way to check in with yourself, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's like a gut check for our choices, like every day.
Okay. So we've talked about fulfillment, action, success, using our time wisely.
Mm,
But I have a feeling there's even more to this whole purpose puzzle.
there's always more.
Right.
Michelle also dives into how our environment, and I'm not just talking about like our social circles,
Okay.
can shape our journey toward purpose. Remember that analogy about the seed needing good soil?
Right, right.
He applies that to our surroundings too.
So like our physical space can help or hinder our growth?
Exactly. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how certain places just make you feel more creative or inspired?
Yeah, totally. I used to work in this like tiny cluttered office. I felt so stifled. When I moved to a brighter space, more open, my productivity just like took off. It's like I could finally breathe.
Exactly. He argues that we need to be intentional about creating an environment that nourishes our purpose, whether it's our workspace, our home, even the places we choose to spend our free time.
So it's not just about decluttering our desks. It's like curating our whole environment.
Yeah, to support our growth, to align with our goals.
Hmm. This is making me rethink my whole apartment.
You should. And remember how we talked about, being around the right people?
Right. Yeah.
Well, he also talks about the flip side, the people who, even unintentionally, might hold us back.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is.
It could even be someone we love, right?
It could.
Yeah.
It's not about placing blame, but recognizing that sometimes people, even with good intentions, can discourage us.
Yeah, make us doubt ourselves, or maybe they just don't understand our vision, you know?
Exactly. And that's where self-discovery comes in. He encourages us to go deep within, really get to know ourselves,
Right.
so we can discern whose voices to trust,
Mm.
whose resonate with our heart.
I love how he puts it, stay still and know. It's about quieting all that outside noise
Yeah.
and tuning into our own inner wisdom.
Exactly. He believes we all have this innate knowing,
Hmm.
but we drown it out
Yeah.
with all the noise of the world, other people's expectations, and our own doubts.
Yeah, it's like that saying, the quieter you become, the more you can hear.
Exactly. It's in that stillness that we can connect with ourselves and maybe uncover the purpose that's been there all along.
But how do we actually do that?
Hmm.
Quieting the mind is easier said than done,
Right.
especially with so many distractions.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried any technique?
Oh, absolutely. And Michelle offers some guidance on that too.
So how do we actually like quiet the mind?
Yeah.
Tap into that inner stillness.
Yeah, he offers a few approaches.
Okay.
One that stood out to me is journaling.
Okay.
Not just like to-do lists,
Right.
but really using it for self-reflection. He suggests asking yourself questions like, what am I grateful for? Or what brought me joy, recently? And really taking the time to explore those answers.
Oh, I like that.
It's about getting those thoughts out, on paper where you can see the patterns.
Yeah, it's like creating space for those quieter thoughts
Yeah.
instead of them getting lost in all that mental clutter.
Exactly. It's a way to train your attention, become more aware of what's going on inside,
So it's not just about quieting the external noise.
Right.
It's also about like amplifying the signal from within.
Yeah, precisely. And once we start to hear that inner voice, he suggests another exercise.
Yeah, okay.
Imagine you have all the time and money in the world. No limitations.
Okay.
How would you spend your days? What would you create? What impact would you make?
I love that. It's like a mental reset, stripping away all those shoulds and have-tos.
Exactly. It's about connecting with those core desires, those aspirations that are often, buried under everyday life.
Right, right.
And he also wants us to think back to childhood, like, what did we love to do as kids?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Before the world told us what we should be doing.
Yeah, yeah.
What brought us joy? Pure excitement.
Reconnecting with that, like that innate sense of wonder.
Exactly. And then look for the common threads,
Okay.
the recurring themes, the activities, what values have always been there.
It's like piecing together a puzzle.
Yeah, the more pieces you find, the clearer the picture becomes.
So it's about recognizing those patterns, those golden threads that weave through our lives.
Yeah.
Even if we haven't been like consciously aware of them. It's like he's saying our purpose has been there all along.
It has.
We just need to learn to see it.
You got it. But he doesn't stop at just discovering it.
Right.
It's about taking action, turning those insights into results. Having a purpose is one thing, but living it, It's
Right.
a whole other thing.
It's like having a blueprint for a house.
Right.
You wouldn't just start, like, throwing bricks around.
You need a plan.
Exactly.
Structure, make sure everything fits.
So having a plan, but also being flexible.
Yes. Because life rarely goes exactly as planned.
It never does, right?
He stresses adaptability, anticipating challenges, having backups. He shares a story about those explorers racing to the South Pole.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Amundsen and Scott.
One made it. One, well,
Tragic ending. And Michelle says a big reason was a lack of planning. Amundsen, on the other hand, meticulous, studied the environment, had backup plans for everything.
So it's not just about having a plan, it's about having a good plan.
A plan that accounts for obstacles, setbacks.
Failing to plan is planning to fail. Yeah.
Exactly. And he outlines 4 fundamentals of planning.
Okay, what are they?
Setting yourself up for success, future-proofing your plans, having a strong sense of direction,
Okay.
and ultimately taking responsibility for your choices.
It's a good framework
It is.
for any goal, not just the purpose stuff.
Right.
But planning can be so overwhelming.
It can be. He suggests asking yourself some tough questions.
Like what?
Do you have a clear strategy? Are your goals specific? Have you identified risks?
Okay.
It's about being honest with yourself,
Blending optimism and realism.
Yeah, exactly. Having a vision, but also a plan to get there.
But what about the day-to-day? How do we manage our time to actually make progress?
Oh, he gets into that too. He compares time and money,
Okay.
both valuable resources to be managed carefully.
Right.
He points out how easy it is to waste time, especially these days.
I know. Social media, right?
He talks about that, the impact of technology,
I know.
the good and the bad.
Right.
It can be amazing for connection, learning,
Yeah.
but also a source of distraction.
It's about finding that balance.
Exactly.
Using tech without letting it consume us.
Exactly. But even with good time management, we all have the same 24 hours.
Right. Right.
So how do we make the most of it?
Michelle gives some tips.
He does.
Ugh.
Setting priorities, breaking down tasks, even scheduling breaks to avoid burning out.
It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter.
Exactly. And he says good time management isn't just about productivity.
Okay.
It's also about reducing stress, creating space for things you enjoy.
Which is important if we're constantly burnt out.
You can't pursue your purpose if you're exhausted.
Right.
He also talks about surrounding yourself with things that bring you joy, things that inspire you. Make a list of things you love.
Hobbies, books, people.
Yeah, it all ties back to that purpose-friendly environment.
Being intentional about what we let into our lives.
Absolutely. It's about the power of association, right? If we're surrounded by negativity, things that drain us,
Yeah.
it's harder to tap into our purpose.
So we need to be mindful of our spaces, our social circles, even what we watch and read,
Everything. It's about curating our experiences.
to align with our goals and values. But what about when we're stuck? Like can't figure out what our purpose is?
Michelle addresses that. He says, embrace the uncertainty. Don't see it as failure. See it as a chance to grow. Finding your purpose isn't always a straight line. Sometimes it's about exploring different paths,
Yeah, experimenting, even making mistakes.
Exactly. Be patient. Trust the process. And remember, your purpose can evolve.
That's reassuring. A lot of
Yep.
people feel pressure to have it all figured out.
They do.
Wow.
But it's a journey, an ongoing exploration.
But even with all this exploration, self-discovery,
Yeah.
how do we put our purpose into action? How do we make it real in the world?
That's where his concept of the blueprint comes in.
Okay, so that blueprint, right, we've got that. We're feeling motivated, ready to take action, but then...
But then life happens.
Right, and Michelle really digs into this, time management. It's like you're saying, even with the best intentions, if we don't manage our time, those goals, they might stay dreams.
He's absolutely right. He even makes this comparison between time and money. Both are valuable resources, right? And they need to be handled carefully. Especially today, it's so easy to waste time.
It's like so many distractions. And he talks about that, the impact of technology.
Oh, yeah. He brings that up.
The good and the bad.
It can be an incredible tool, right? For learning, for connecting, even for achieving our goals, but it can also take over.
You're right.
Become this source of distraction, even anxiety if we're not careful.
So it's finding that balance, right? Using technology without letting it control us. Any tips on that from Michelle?
He suggests setting boundaries, being mindful of how much time we spend, and making sure those digital interactions are helping us, not hindering. But even then, even with the best time management, we all have the same 24 hours.
Right, exactly. So how do we really make the most of that time?
Yeah.
He offers some pretty practical strategies, right?
He does. Things like setting priorities, breaking down those big tasks into smaller steps, and scheduling breaks.
Oh,
Avoid burnout. It's
yeah.
working smarter, not just harder.
Yeah, yeah. And he makes a point. Good time management isn't just about getting stuff done.
Right. It's about more than that.
It's about reducing stress,
Yeah.
right? Creating space for things we actually enjoy doing.
Exactly. It's about living a life that's balanced, fulfilling, not just checking things off a never-ending to-do list.
I love that. If we're always stressed, always burnt out, it's hard to go after our purpose with any real enthusiasm.
You need that energy. And he actually says, surround yourself with things that bring you joy, things that inspire you. He even suggests making a list. What do you love? Hobbies, books, music, the people you spend time with. It's about being intentional.
Yeah, I see the connection back to that idea of a purpose-friendly environment.
Exactly, you got it. It's about the energy we're bringing into our lives, right?
Yeah.
Through those people, through the physical spaces we're in, even through, the media we consume.
So it's not just about decluttering our desks. It's about curating our whole experience.
Yeah.
Make it align with our goals, our values. But even with all that, sometimes life happens. We face setbacks, challenges. How do we stay motivated when it feels like we're hitting a wall?
Well, he reminds us setbacks, they're inevitable, they're part of the process. He encourages us to cultivate resilience. See those challenges not as failures, but as opportunities.
It's it's not about whether you fall down. It's about whether you get back up.
Exactly. He even suggests reframing those limiting beliefs, those negative thoughts that can hold us back.
Oh, yeah. So training our minds for success,
Yeah.
right? Focusing on the positive, believing we can overcome those obstacles.
That's it. And that leads to one of his most powerful ideas. He says, our thoughts shape our reality.
Hmm. So if we're always thinking negative thoughts,
Yeah.
it's going to be tougher to create a positive outcome.
It is, yeah. He emphasizes that connection, our thoughts, our emotions, our behaviors.
Right.
If we can shift our thinking, we can change how we feel and ultimately how we act.
Wow. That's powerful. It's like we have this power to create our own reality just by choosing our thoughts.
That's the essence of it. And this ties into what he says about our true identity. You know,
Oh,
who's really in charge? Are we letting other things dictate our choices? Or are we creating the life we want?
taking ownership,
Yeah,
taking responsibility for our thoughts, our actions, ultimately our destiny.
exactly. And that leads to this big question, what does it really mean to live a fulfilling life?
Okay, yeah, what's the answer? Is it just about achievements or is there something more?
Well, he doesn't give a simple answer, but he does share this quote, when you know who you are, you know what you need to do. It saves you a lot of aggravation caused by investing your time in the wrong things.
So it all comes back to self-discovery, right? Aligning with our true selves.
He's really big on.
Our inner world shapes our outer world, living in alignment with our values, our passions, our true selves.
And he reminds us it's a lifelong journey. Our purpose might change over time, and that's okay. Stay curious, keep exploring, keep striving to become the best version of yourself.
This book really is a roadmap for anyone who wants to live a more fulfilling life, a more purposeful life. It's not just about finding our purpose, it's about understanding it, nurturing it, and living it, every day.
Every single day. And he leaves us with a thought. If your life's purpose were a golden thread, what would that thread be made of?
That's beautiful. It makes you think about what really matters, what makes your life meaningful, what kind of legacy you want to leave.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.